Last week, President Joe Biden rolled out his plan to deal with the Delta variant. Of course, it requires mandates, in particular, mandating that businesses which have at least 100 employees or more vaccinate those employees, or those employees must be tested on a weekly basis. Otherwise, there will be fines and other issues for those businesses if they refuse to do so. But then that opened the question to, well, what about people who don't fit into these mandated categories? They're not nurses in the healthcare industry. They don't work for a company that employs 100 people. Maybe they work for a company that only employs 20 people. Maybe they own their own business. Maybe they're just not employed. How do you get to everybody? And the president alluded to how that was going to be done. There would be mandates or the encouragement of private businesses to put mandates in place, similar to what's being done in New York City, that you can't enter certain venues without proof of vaccination.
The vaccine requirements in my plan will affect about 100 million Americans, 2/3 of all workers. And for other sectors, I issue this appeal to those of you running large entertainment venues, from sports arenas to concert venues to movie theaters. Please require folks to get vaccinated or show a negative test as a condition of entry.
This immediately created the image in people's minds of, well, for lack of a better way of saying it, a police state.
Your papers are not in order.
And leave it to the school principal everybody loves to hate, one Anthony Fauci. This is a brilliant idea. In fact, we need to expand this. You cannot get on a plane without the passport, or in this case, proof of vaccination.
I would support that if you want to get on a plane and travel with other people, that you should be vaccinated.
You have to hand it to the Democrats. They're really good at strategy. And when I say strategy, at picking a narrative and going with it, even when you look at it through the lens of common sense, saying this isn't going to work. The absolute fiasco of the Afghan withdrawal. I mean, this was the doom, the end of the Biden administration. And he pivoted to this new series of mandates for the Delta variant. And the bottom line was it shouldn't work, but because this is the direction the media now chooses to go, the Afghan withdrawal, it's a footnote. There's some hearings happening on Capitol Hill. They're going to throw Trump under the bus, saying that this was actually his fault. The Democrats, who know better, are actually going to give the Biden administration cover. Now, the reason they're doing that is not because they think that Biden handled it great and that Trump was wrong. No, nay. It's because of the vice president. One, Camilla thinks she's a hottie Harris. She tweeted out over the weekend that we have to get the unvaccinated vaccinated so that they can protect the vaccinated. Wait, did she tweet that right? Did I read that right? In other words, Democrats don't want to impeach Joe Biden because it would be Camilla thinks she's a hottie Harris who would become the president. And since this whole thing has actually backfired on Obama's master plan of we get old Joe in, by hook or by crook, we get him in. Once he's in, we can 25th Amendment him, and then he gotta go, and the woman of color will become the first female president, and she's not only female, she's a person of color. What Obama and the operatives that crafted this plot and then unleashed it on the rest of us didn't quite count on was Kamala is a twit, and nobody likes her. Her unfavorability is even worse than Hillary Rodham Clinton. So now we are stuck with Joe. They will carry him through the end of the term. And so they had to get off the Afghan narrative. So here, Joe, go out with this because you're going to save everybody from COVID. And of course, these mandates come out as this endless list of the American people feeling as though they're being punished. They're losing all of their privileges because they haven't cleaned their room this week. And an endless series of taskmaster mandates. There's that, but there's also this idea that, again, the GOP, who plays lousy strategy, constitutionally he can't do this and blah, 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 blah. Well, yeah, actually he can. You know, with the emergency powers afforded him within the Constitution, as long as the pandemic never goes away, he can do all kinds of things. And there is the rub. Will the pandemic ever be allowed to go away? This is a great way to rule imperialistically, tyrannically, authoritarian, individual, lone dictate and edict because we have an emergency. And so when Kamala tweeted that out and got immediate backlash, did everybody forget that Joe Biden actually said it first?
The bottom line, we're going to protect vaccinated workers from unvaccinated coworkers.
Which then, of course, prompts a logical question. If we have to protect the people that are protected, does the protection work?
Vice President Harris said, by vaccinating, increasing our testing and masking, and protecting the vaccinated, we can end this pandemic. Which sort of raises an obvious question. If the vaccine protects, why do the vaccinated need protecting? I think it's pretty basic question. So they've been all over the place on mixed messages. I think the gentleman's amendment from the gentleman from California, his amendment is simply like, look, if you're going to mandate it for American citizens, and if they don't get it, they may lose their job. Doesn't it make sense for people who are coming into this country, particularly coming here illegally, that they should have to get it? Pretty common sense. I bet the folks I represent in the 4th District of Ohio would say, yeah, that makes kind of common sense to me. That's all this amendment says. But no, the Democrats say, no, we're going to mandate it for American citizens, but we're not going to mandate it for people who come to the country illegally. That makes no sense. There's not a person I represent, I would bet, in the 4th District of Ohio who would agree with their position. But that's their position. And there's not anyone in the whole country who understands what the vice president is saying yesterday in this tweet. By vaccinating, increasing our testing and masking, and protecting the vaccinated, we can end this pandemic. What? I don't get it. If the vaccine protects, why do the vaccinated need protecting? I don't get it. I do not get it. But again, that's the one thing consistent from the Biden administration relative to COVID is their inconsistency. That's the one thing we know.
But remember, according to the geniuses in charge and their minions that are willing to come out and defend them, you're not supposed to ask any questions. You're just simply supposed to comply.
Well, my freedom is being kind of disturbed here. No, screw your freedom.
This is not about freedom or personal choice.
Thus endeth the lesson. Hey, that's it for this rant. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're a subscriber to the channel. Smack the bell, click the word all to get notification of my next rant, and make sure you check out the other content.